Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Albert Einstein said it absolutely the best. The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing. Amen. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday. We're 2 days away from really being full. Thanksgiving. God bless America. I certainly hope so. And good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of wintertime traction tires. You stop in and see them today, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and Western Waste Services. Get on the route service today to get rid of your garbage. They'll pick up your garbage. It's gone, 734-6969. And now to a lovely lady that's sitting there just counting the minutes, the hours, and has the car filled with petroleum to head south and enjoy the Snowbird Trail to happiness. Here she is, Gina.
Yes, and honestly, you know, today and tomorrow are going to be really hard work days, but that's okay because I'm ready to get out of town.
I would hate to be, honestly, and I gave this considerable thought, I'd hate to be the door at K-Bar.
It's going to be slamming open and slamming
Yeah,
down.
because when you leave, you're not going to have any mercy for how that thing swings open on its hinges and comes closed, because I can see this thing shuddering and quaking for about a half an hour after the gravel from your car hits it when you're getting down the road.
There might have to be some repairs that Gary will have to do afterwards.
I would hate to be the owner of the station, Kim Lee, and try to block your path of retreat, because all he'd be is a speed bump in the road to happiness.
Get out of my way, bud.
And give me my check, man. I'm out of here. Cool it, dude. Get your 3-piece suit out of the way.
That is so true. Oh, boy, howdy. So, happy Tuesday.
I guess maybe I'm not showing the proper respect for Kim.
You know, I love my boss.
You know what you could do is,
What?
honestly, if he gets in the way, just take his suspenders and treat him like a bungee cord and pull him back about 3 feet and vault him over the fence in the pasture across the road.
You know, he is heading down to the studio this morning. So.
I'll bet he is. And I bet I'll hear from him later.
Probably so.
There goes my invitation to the Christmas party that I haven't had in 15 years.
I will make sure that you specifically get a Christmas gift.
I got to figure out where I'm going to put this program next week. Anyway, do we have a pledger?
Before we don't have a show?
Yeah, well, that's a thought.
We've got Rotten on for the pledging.
Okay. Good morning, Rotten. How you doing?
I'm rottener than rotten.
That a boy. Give us the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, my goodness. How are you this morning?
Well, like I told you, rottener than rotten.
Now, what about that sweet, quiet, cherubic wife that you live with?
She's sitting here laughing at what you're saying.
Yeah, with a gun in her hand, aiming at the radio.
She says you're full of crap.
Well, that's a nice way to put it. Thank you so much for your call.
Okay.
Have a good day. Thank you.
You too.
God bless you. Hey, it's time for Michael Rogers Weather. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Today's going to be a little bit warmer than what it was yesterday. That's the good news. Other than that, a lot of sun, very little clouds, no precipitation in the forecast for today or tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty nice, cool fall day in the Magic Valley of South Central Idaho. 52 for the high, 38 for the overnight low. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Oh, Michael. Hey, by the way, Michael, I got to tell you real quick. I saw something last night, and I wished I would have had a camera like you always have with you. I saw a smoke trail coming up, and it looked just like a huge question mark. I just thought you might have found that interesting.
I saw the same one in Las Vegas about a week ago, heading down just out of Alamo. It's interesting you saw that now. The sky doing what it does, and of course I know a storm's coming, and I'm sitting there going like, oh, that's pretty interesting. A question mark in the clouds right next to a full moon. Beautiful. I'll take that. So that's pretty much it. Just clouds doing its thing up high up in the eyes.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks. God bless. Have a good day. Thank you, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Thank you. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. I take all my wrinkly crinklies in there, my shirts and all my Wranglers and everything. And, you know, I have a tendency to get a little sloppy sometimes, especially like when I'm eating, like prime rib au jus and all that kind of stuff, and I end up looking like an Appaloosa horse. Anyway, you take your clothes in there, and they'll come back looking brand spanking new. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, they've got prepaid gift cards. Great stocking stuffers for the holiday season. You better believe it. At Daryl's Cleaners, absolutely the best in Burley. Want to also remind you that, boy, if it wasn't for our being on SafeLink Internet, I don't know where we would be. We really need the information, and everybody is so happy here. Deanne does all the work on the computer, and, boy, I'm telling you, they just absolutely are the best. Call them. Get on the program with SafeLink Internet, Idaho's #1 choice in wireless high-speed Internet. Free installations, unlimited data. Oh, yeah, great service. Boy, you'll love it. 677-8000, SafeLink Internet. You call them today. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear about, you remember the terrorist that we put in prison here in the United States, which I thought he should have went right to Gitmo and been fed nothing but bread and water in a cell about 6x6 for the rest of his life. This guy's name, Al-Nasari. And he's the guy with the hook. You've seen him on television, you know, the terrorist that we arrested with the hook right hand and missing a left eye. Well, he's really upset. Poor baby terrorist. He's really upset, and he's demanding, get this, the bad guy is demanding that he be moved to a more comfortable prison with better scenic value in Massachusetts. He wants to see the leaves. He wants to enjoy all the fall coloration leading up to and through winter with the snow and everything. He's demanding to be more comfortable. Would somebody take a memo down to this terrorist and let him know that it's not a hotel? Let him know that we couldn't care less about his demands. And let him know that if he doesn't shut up, we'll put him in solitary confinement for the rest of his absolutely repulsive life. Can you imagine these people making demands? I demand that they move me. I demand they give me better facilities. He's nothing more than a terrible, criminal, killer terrorist. Unbelievable. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the way, over at Valley White Home and Ranch, and we are going to be over there on December 12th for that huge Cowboy Christmas remote. Got to come over there. We're going to be having all kinds of drawings and everything. It's going to be fantabulous. Well, in the interim, don't forget Valley White Home and Ranch. Mandy, I love Mandy. She's a great gal. Went a little bit off the line of center and ordered clothes. She's got everything in stock. Winter coats, Carhartt socks, rain gear, boots, everything you need to stay warm, and they make great Christmas gifts. And don't forget, they've got all for your livestock, all the vaccinations. They got all the ice melt so that you can get out of your driveway. Everything for you with really nice people over at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. Oh, and by the way, too, I want to remind you that if you have a little fender bender, a little crinkle, a little wrinkle in the fender, the front end, the back end, whatever, backed into something like I do occasionally, oh, darn. Well, anyway, take it in the Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop at 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls, and call them and make a scheduled announcement that I'm coming in, and they can fix your vehicle. As a matter of fact, they strive to make your vehicle repairs undetectable. They do a wonderful job. How do I know? First-person testimonial. They worked on my pickup after we had that really dangerous fire this summer. What a job! These people are phenomenal. You got to give them a call, 736-2490, Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Well, the Obama administration did it again. Yeah, you know what? We always hear about Houdini and his great escape artistry. Well, there's a better guy than Houdini. It's Obama. I was going to say, instead of Houdini, it's Obama, whatever. Obama is the greatest escape artist of all time. He can virtually run and hide and get out of one scandal to another. The administration, they can blur your vision of what's actually going on and convert your thoughts completely elsewhere. I mean, this is amazing. From Fast and Furious, and then we jump over to more scandals like the IRS scandal, and then we're going to have more on Benghazi, and then we're going to have more on the First Amendment rights taken away from some of our journalists, and Obamacare is really getting hot and heavy, so now we're going to have another bump to another scandal going on, another diversion, and that's the Iranian treaty. This is a mess. Our allies, at least we still hope they're our allies, i.e. Israel and some of the others, Egypt. Israel's Netanyahu said this is a historic mistake. It's going to be a danger to the world. Now, that's pretty ominous coming from Mr. Netanyahu. And they're really scared about it. And I'm wondering, honestly, how the airheaded people in the State Department can be so arrogant and absolutely overlook an American citizen that is being held captive in Iran, Pastor Abedini, and his life is at stake. He's been over there for a year in prison, one of the worst prisons in Iran, and how they can be so calloused, and how they can be so arrogant. I said this yesterday and I mean it. And how they can be so despicable as to, in their negotiations with Iran, John Kerry or whomever didn't look right across the table and say, now look, we are going to ease the sanctions on you, but first of all, you will release Pastor Abedini. It's as if his life doesn't matter. I dare say it was never even brought up in the conversation or the discussions. I'm going to stick my neck out because I don't know if it was or not, but I'm going to guarantee you I believe it wasn't. His life didn't mean anything to John Kerry and the State Department or the Obama administration. They were more bent on getting a done deal, which is a bad deal, because nobody's really going to bird dog that situation as to whether the Iranians are cutting back on their nuclear activities or not, and we're relieving them of the dangerous sanctions which have really crippled their economy and held them at bay. We gave them everything, and we didn't get a doggone thing. We didn't get anything. And we certainly didn't get back an American citizen, Pastor Abedini. And I think every single person out there should remember that coming up in November of next year when you go to the polls, how despicable and how absolutely arrogant this administration is. Caller, please stay on the line just for a quick second. I've got to get some commercials in, and then I'll take your call, I promise. Don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox. Oh, what a great place to eat. And do they make cinnamon rolls? As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you more about those cinnamon rolls next week. But right now, they can make any type of pie imaginable for Thanksgiving, and bread and cookies. And, oh, my goodness, you better order your Thanksgiving holiday treats right now. Oh, yeah, get them in order by tomorrow, by Wednesday tomorrow, so you can enjoy the good eating on Thursday, Thanksgiving. This is a great place. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Please get a hold of them today, okay? Just a minute, caller. I'll be right there. I also want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Man, I am so happy. Keith has ridden the horse with us here for many, many years, and we really appreciate his and the rest of the company's involvement. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they've got all your furnace filters. I mean, not just the cheap little common filters. They got the good ones. They've got the good ones, and believe me, you can buy them by the box and save 10%. Well, your furnace will just absolutely stand up and say, howdy, and do the job for you. Please get a hold of them today. Stop in at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
Now that our Border Patrol is under attack again, I imagine you saw this on Channel 25 this morning?
No, as a matter of fact, I've been in my office since about 4:30 just taking care of all the emails and everything, so I am not aware of what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's about 100 illegals crossing the border, and they attacked 2 of our Border Patrol.
Oh, yes, that's right.
And of course, this big blowhard is every time something comes up, he's on the roll. He's gone. This is disgusting.
Well, Tony, there just doesn't seem to be any protection for us. I really wonder, honestly. You've been around for quite some time. You've seen security. You've seen insecurity. And right now, I'm going to just come right out and tell you that I think our country, in general, from sea to shining sea, and from the north border to what's supposedly the south border, is more susceptible to infiltration than ever before, and I don't think the American public realizes how insecure we really are, even from within our own borders that you and I have talked about many times.
Well, people don't seem to realize that we are under siege from within our own country with all these terrorist training camps popping up all over. And we're being overrun at the borders. It's true, the country that loses its borders loses the country, and we're well on our way to doing that.
I got to tell you, on my cell phone about, when were you and I talking about these terrorist camps? It's been about a week, 10 days ago, right?
Yeah, it's been about a week or 10 days.
I get a call on my cell phone, and the guy says, boy, he says, I listen to your program, but you're a right-wing nut. You're way out in right field. He says, you don't know what you're talking about. There's no terrorist training Muslim camps in America. What are you talking about? And I thought, this is the gullibility. This is the naivete of the American public. They don't understand what's really going on. I have proof, and so does the government, and so do our politicians, and so does the FBI, so does the CIA, and they've been investigated, and they're not touching them. They're in New York, they're in Oregon, they're in Texas, they're all over the United States, and I'm thinking the American public is so damn naive they can't understand. They can't see the forest because the tree's in the way.
Well, all they have to do is read their book, Twilight in America, and if they have a computer, bring up on the computer Muslim training camps in the United States.
Yeah.
And they'll show the whereabouts and everything else.
Ryan Morrow has been on our program many, many times, and he's a terror expert. He was just on Fox News TV nationally here a couple days ago, and he has stated emphatically, he's just shaking his head as to how gullible we are with these training camps all over the United States. And then I get somebody that calls me and says that I'm completely off the wall and off my rocker for talking about this because there's no such thing. Tony, I'm concerned about the naivete of the American public.
Well, people that live around these training camps, they're in fear of their lives.
Yes, they are.
They're afraid to complain about it because there has been attacks on people, our citizens, by these Muslims to keep them quiet.
I agree.
People don't realize that.
I agree. Hey, I owe you an apology. I forgot to call you yesterday, but I'm going to be in my office all day today, and I'll give you a jingle on the landline, buddy.
Oh, don't worry. You're burning the candle at both ends. I understand.
Yeah, and it's getting hot in the middle. Thanks, Tony.
Okay.
God bless. Bye. Thank you. I want to remind you about the 3rd annual Christmas Light Parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30 in Burley. Oh, man, this is going to be fun. The Burley Area Merchants Association are having this great big to-do. It's going to be so much fun, starting at 6 with the entertainment, and then Santa Claus is going to go to Centennial Park and turn on the lights, and they're going to have free hot chocolate and donuts and cookies. Oh, boy. And some of the stores will be open until till 8 o'clock that night. Come on, shop in Burley. That's where all your friends are, and let's keep the money circulating right in our home area, shall we? And don't forget your Burley Area Merchants Association with the 3rd Annual Christmas Light Parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30 p.m. And by the way, too, I want to say thank you to a lot of businesses that are jumping in and wishing you a very Merry Christmas. And before that, of course, Happy Thanksgiving. And we're going to talk about some of those right now, including Four Paws at 370 West, 200 South of Paul, 438-4444. All your pet grooming and boarding, get scheduled for the holidays if you're leaving town. I'll tell you what, they can take care of it for your dogs and kitty cats. That is really a hotel fancy for them. And also we want to say thank you to Jeff and the staff at Magic Valley Irrigation at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. For over 30 years, Magic Valley Irrigation serving you, along with our friends at Burley Glass at 1029 Overland, 678-1459 with our good buddy Gentle Ben. For all your window needs, efficient window needs, you check with the friends at Burley Glass. And those are just a few more businesses telling you to have a happy Thanksgiving and then a Merry Christmas. Calls are welcome. Good morning, caller, if I have one. I don't remember if I had a moo on the line or not. Do I, Gina? I can't remember.
Well, I'm talking to Miss Linda right now. Hold on.
Miss Linda.
About some technical issues.
Oh, we got technical issues. Okay, well, I just want to tell you later on this morning, and this is really important, later on this morning at exactly 10 minutes to 11, you'd better be listening because we're going to give away not one, not two, but 3 turkeys. And compliments of Valley White Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and Zeb at the Ranch. And I've got a whole bunch of paragraphs that I read through, and we have the drawing coming up at 10 minutes to 11 this morning for 3 turkeys for Thanksgiving. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to, if I could, promote the Thanksgiving dinner that's going to be at the Elks this year.
As a matter of fact, I hit that yesterday, and I'm telling you the straight truth, it's right here, top on my public pile to talk about. It's the 12th annual, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is.
I got it right here.
Yeah, from 12 to 4, everybody's welcome. If you want to donate turkeys, I think it's at Swenson's in Paul.
Okay.
If they want to buy a turkey for it, if you buy it there, they will keep it and then send it out there to be cooked when it's needed.
Okay. Now it's going to start at noon and go to 4 p.m., and it's the 12th annual free turkey dinner presented by Ron and Deb Anderson of Alaska's Best. And I don't know if you know these people or not, Leonard and Betty Martin and the Rupert Elks Lodge, right?
Yes, I'm kind of familiar with them.
Well, I thought maybe you were. You've heard a name in passing, I'm sure.
Yes, I have.
And free donations will be taken at the door for the lunch. And if you need a meal delivered, call Alaska's Best at 436-2447.
Right, and if anybody wants to help with deliveries and stuff, just contact them also.
All right. See how easy that was?
That was great.
I told you I had it right on the top of my pile here. All right, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too.
Thank you. Want to remind everybody about Travel Loop Supply, 1050 West, and, of course, 203 South in Heyburn, right there at Jim McCall's farm. He gets out of bed in the morning, stumbles into his boots, and stumbles across the yard about 30 feet into the shop, and he says, "Good morning, world. We're ready to serve you with all your tool needs and all your oil needs and all your Bubba ropes, all your, Cummins engine oil filters. They're having a closeout on those. Got all your antifreeze. Got everything you need right there at Travel Lube Supply. Really a good business. And Jim is one of the good old boys. You better believe it. 438-8730. You call them today. It is time now for Capital Press Newspapers Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling at 320 West Main in Burley, and also 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
A federal agency has scraped a proposal to automatically allow government-sponsored farm lenders to invest more in rural hospitals, retirement homes, and similar facilities. It may still allow such loans on a case-by-case basis. The Farm Credit Administration's proposed rule would have authorized Farm Credit System lenders to make such investments without the agency's prior approval. community banks and others had adamantly opposed the proposal, arguing that it deviated from the system's primary purpose of lending to agriculture. Proponents argued that such investments are critical to agriculture since farmers need access to hospitals, schools, and other facilities. This is Hannah Browse.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and CapitalPress.com.
Thank you very much to Pacific Steel and Recycling for bringing us the Capital Press Ag Minute. And by the way, the really, really nice folks at Pacific Steel and Recycling having a canned food drive all through the month of November. Bring in 2 cans of food and receive 10 cents more per pound on your recycling steel and metal. And also $20 more per ton for your iron and tin. So there you go, $20 per ton for iron and tin. All the proceeds go to Helping Hands. These are wonderful people helping you with all your recycling needs at Pacific Steel and Recycling. 2 locations, 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. All right, give us a call, 436-2244. Remember yesterday, I talked to you about a South Carolina school that was banning religious Christmas carols, even without the words, just the music of like Joy to the World and Oh Come All Ye Faithful and everything, because the school board didn't have any spine or backbone, and they received a letter of denouncement from, they thought, they weren't sure whether it was from the American Civil Liberties Union or another group. In other words, this school, like many schools, put their tail between their legs and got scared. Well, this morning, the story has changed a lot. Our friends with the Alliance Defending Freedom got involved and basically put the bad guys, whether it was the ACLU or whomever, on the run with their tail between their legs. And I'll read you the new press release that came out this morning. A South Carolina public charter school has removed a ban on Christmas music after receiving a letter from Alliance Defending Freedom sent on behalf of concerned parents. So the parents got involved, got a hold of Alliance Defending Freedom that's on our program every Monday. School officials had prohibited students from performing the music to Joy to the World and Oh Come All Ye Faithful after students had already begun rehearsing these pieces for a concert. Now, a school official had initially claimed that some type of communication from either the American Civil Liberties Union or another group prompted the ban. Well, then the school board and the school looked into the matter. Oh, yeah, and they discovered, I love that word, they discovered that the official had actually acted on his own. Well, blame that one official, and they reversed the ban after gaining a better... I love this sentence. They reversed the ban after gaining a better understanding of what the First Amendment permits and protects. So in other words, gee golly, they saw the light and they understood what their rights were and they gained a better understanding, and they told the bad guys to take a long walk down a real short pier. Why? Why aren't schools showing gumption and standing up to these people, whether they're the ACLU or any other nutcase? They say, oh, you can't sing any Christmas music. Oh, no, you can't. Yes, you can. It's a federal holiday. It's Christmas. You can sing the songs. You absolutely can have the lyrics with the songs at a school pageant. Yes, you can. Show some backbone, schools, administrators, school boards. Stand up. Don't weaken to these trashy organizations. Calls are welcome. Oh, I feel better. I feel cleansed after saying that. I love this commercial. Of all the commercials I've got, I love the way this one twists at the end. The Fairfield Inn and Suites in Burley. Really nice people. 230 West 7th Street North in Burley. 677-5000. Write that number down for registration. 677-5000. They've got a holiday special. $85 per night, including indoor pool and hot tubs. Oh, free hot breakfast. Oh, and you can invite your holiday relatives and say, hey, come on down and share Thanksgiving with us. Come on down and share Christmas with us. And you can stay at the Fairfield Inn and you can have all the pool and the hot tubs and the hot breakfast, plus the fact you won't be using our bathroom. You can use your own. I love this. Fairfield Inn and Suites, 677-5000. Okay, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, did you remember the neighborhood in New Jersey? Remember I reported on this story about 4 or 5 days ago? And this neighborhood in New Jersey is right by the naval base, the United States Naval Base. Well, at 8 o'clock in the morning, the United States Naval Base puts up the American flag with our national anthem. Well, 1 or 2 people, they said 8 o'clock in the morning. That's too early. And they condemned the playing of the national anthem. They said it was way too loud. They were the Grinch that wanted to steal the national anthem and stop it, and they complained. And the naval base thought, well, okay, even though it's 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll tune down the music. Now that they've tuned and turned down the music, the majority of the people, 98% of the other folks that live there, are really upset because they loved hearing the national anthem and honestly stood at attention in the direction of that flag that was going up, as it was a part of their great start to a great day here in the United States of America. So the Navy, on one hand, by a couple of people, changed it. That's why I say we can't cater to the minority. You just kind of poke them, take your thumb and your forefinger and go shoo, shoo, away like a fly. You know what? I'm so sick and tired of catering to the minority. 1 or 2 people are upset, so we change everything for them? Are you kidding me? Go sit in the corner and eat an old popsicle stick. Who cares? I'm fed up with this thing. So now they changed it, and the majority of the people are really upset because now they can't wake up and honor our country with the flag of the United States. We're going to say Merry Christmas, and we're going to say God bless, and hark the herald angels sing, and I hope we drive the liberals completely insane.
And I've got a great big board on my roof that says Merry Christmas, all lit up.
Well, now, don't forget, and I'm hoping that I can put together, it's going to come out of my pocket again this year, but I'm going to try to come up with a little cash award or something for people that put up all the nativity scenes, and we're going to have a drawing of the names. I'm going to try to get all that put together again this year. It's worth it to come out of my own pocket and get people to really celebrate the real reason for the season, and that's the birth of Jesus Christ. And if people are offended by that, hooray, I did my job.
I agree, 100%. This is a special time of year, no matter what anybody says. I think we need to celebrate it with all the gusto we've got.
Hey, now, you sang on my program, and you sang pretty doggone good. Now, I want to remind you that on December 19th, we're all going to meet over at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 5:30 that night for a cowboy singing chorale that's going to drive all around Burley singing Christmas carols, and it's sponsored by Ramsey Heating and Electric, Travelube, and Let's Ride. So you had better be there with your wife and sing with us that night.
19th, huh?
You put it on your calendar. If you're not there at 5:30, I'm sending out the armed militia to come bring you in handcuffed.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Hey, thanks so much.
You bet.
All right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
God bless. Thank you very much. That was nice. That was really nice. I appreciate that. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Heard something this morning that is really kind of eerie and very, very scary. 63%. That is a lot of the employers, business employers in this country, might lose their insurance coverage in the next couple of weeks. And this is all on account of the Obamacare disaster. Now, 63% is huge. And the government is pulling out all the stops to beg you to join them with Obamacare. Did you hear that they're employing through AARP, to appeal to the youngsters, the younger generations, to sign up for Obamacare? I'll tell you what, if I were a kid, 21, 25, even 30, and I knew I was going to be forced and harassed into buying Obamacare, I would just sit there and say, no, wait a minute. They got to take me if I have all of a sudden an illness come up that might be cancer or something very serious. So why should I be giving them my money now? No, I wouldn't. I'd stake that money and I'd stick it in something else, maybe invest it in land or whatever, and I'd thumb my nose at the government and say, nope, I got better things to do with my cash. And you know what? That's what most of the younger generation is doing right now. And Obama's administration absolutely dropped the football on the 1-yard line, trying to run down the other end of the field on this Obamacare, thinking that the younger generation was going to get involved in it. So they're trying all these ploys of trying to get the younger generation to sign up for it. And they've even created e-cards. Now listen to this. And what they're doing is they're creating these e-cards so that you can use them as stocking stuffers for the younger generation to go, oh, gee, great, I now can be a part of Obamacare. Oh, what a great Christmas present. And Obama for America, that group that sends me all those emails and everything about how great the liberals are, they've created a list of pro-Obamacare talking points to send to you. All you have to do is get them off the email or whatever, so that when you're sitting around the Thanksgiving dinner table, you can visit about the great wonderfulness of Obamacare. This is how stretched out this thing is trying to sell it. It's ridiculous. We've got to take a break and have Michael Rogers' weather come in, and it's brought to you by Quality's Electronics. Right now at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Don't forget, they're going to have Black Friday sale prices all this week. Don't ruin Thanksgiving. Shop before and get the best deals. They're open Tuesday and Wednesday, today 9 to 6, and tomorrow 9 to 6. Closed on Thanksgiving. Open Friday 8 in the morning till 8 p.m. Wow. And great buys on television sets. I know I've sent a lot of people in there. You're going to love the great buys at Quality's Electronics in Twin Falls. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hey, I'm Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Good news today. Now, you know, if I say good news, you're going to want to think that maybe, well, if there's good news or bad news. No, it's not really any bad news. So basically, the weather for today is good news. It's going to be warmer today than what it was yesterday. 52 for the high, 23 for the overnight low. We're in the 50s all the way through the weekend as we start getting closer to Thanksgiving Day. Hey, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael Rogers, brought to you by Quality's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a jingle. We would love to talk to you. And let's see what else have I got here. That's really a news flash this morning. Talk to you about 63% of all businesses, employers, I should say, might lose their coverage. And let's see. I talked to you about the naval base. Oh, I know. Here's something else. Did you hear that a privately owned website is offering the same health care plans as Obamacare online? And this company called GoHealth.com. They set up the website. They did a wonderful job. It's working very efficiently. People are able to get on there and find out about the nuts and bolts of all the policies and the costs and everything. And it's really put the egg on the face of the Obama administration, because here's a couple of, and they're young guys, probably in their lower, maybe not even mid-30s. And they put this whole thing together, and it's made so easy, and they're making a fool of the government, which is not hard to do. So a lot of people are going to GoHealth.com and getting the information they thought they could get from Obamacare. Not so. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got to tell you this next story here, and it's about wealth redistribution. There were the climate talks, the 19th annual United Nations climate talks. Now listen carefully about what I'm going to tell you. And nearly 200 countries wanted to bring the world closer to reaching a more comprehensive agreement in 2015 regarding climate reparations payments to poor countries. This is what the poor countries went to this meeting, and they demanded that the richer countries, us, Great Britain, everybody else, paid them a fee, what they call damages caused by global warming. Now, here's what happened. Last week, more than 130 nations, 130 countries, walked out of the negotiations as rich countries, including the United States, Australia, and the European bloc, and they were opposed, and rightfully so, they were opposed to creating a separate mechanism to dole out money for loss and damage for global warming to poor countries. This is idiotic. These poor countries wanted our money. They wanted the rich countries' money. They didn't want to work for it. They didn't want to try to expand their country's net worth. They didn't want to try to have people go to work and earn the money. Oh, no. That'd be way too hard. It's better to say that there was loss and damage from climate change and blame the wealthy countries and demand the money. Fortunately, our United States walked out, as did 130 other countries. And here's the one paragraph. I'm going to read this to you and then find the ambiguity in this, okay? Poor countries hope to use the recent Typhoon Haiyan as a catalyst for a more robust climate agreement that would carry more international aid with it. China, and other poor countries have demanded $70 billion a year, not one time, a year in climate aid, and they demanded that it be paid and started to be paid by 2016. Have you followed the news lately? Have you understood that China is trying to take away the number one position in the world right now as the most innovative, the most advanced country on the globe, and yet they were one of the poor countries that demanded $70 billion a year in climate aid? We're being held hostage. These people don't want to work for it. They don't want to earn it. They just want to have a check handed to them. Oh, climate change affected us. Oh, why, we can't do anything. We'll just sit back and revel in all the cash that you idiots are going to pay us. And China and other poor countries.
China is not poor by any means.
Well, they're sure leading the charge to get $70 billion a year.
Well, they're not going to get it out of my pocket.
Well, don't be so sure there, sweet brunette sitting at K-Bar Studio, because the United States is starting to bend on this a little bit, and they said they'll have to consider it again at the next meeting.
Look, they get enough in aid. They get enough in monetary aid from us. They get enough in food aid from us. No.
I couldn't agree more, but I'm telling you something. This is a rip-off, claiming that global warming has hurt all these countries, and so they want $70 billion a year. Gina?
An EPA lawyer working for them?
This just shows how far to the left the whole world has gone.
We've got 2 phone calls.
All right, let's take one. Good morning, you're on the air.
That me?
I hope so.
Okay, hey. Enjoyed your visit yesterday. Next time we'll have coffee.
All right, buddy.
Send the bill for all this crap to Mr. Al Gore. He's the one that started it.
I agree.
So have a good one.
Thank you, Alan Polly. We stopped in and saw them yesterday. Just really nice folks. Some of our dearest friends. Yeah, you can blame Al Gore. And he's sitting back in his 97-room mansion, just enjoying life and reaping the rewards of all of his idiocy. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Now, China that is building coal-fired power plants as fast as they can build them without any kind of cleaning mechanism to clean the exhaust. You know, there is such a thing as clean coal, and we do it here in this country every day, and it truly is somewhat revolutionary, I guess, compared to what China is doing. And they couldn't have cared less. And in some cases, there are cities in China where they're producing so much non-cleaned exhaust, so to speak, that the haze is... Well, do you remember the Olympics?
I do. Yeah.
They would not show certain pictures of Beijing because they were hazed over.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
Less about cleaning their own air.
Yeah, well, wait a minute. Here's the whole point, and you summed it up pretty good. You know, China wants to and is demanding almost that they take over the number one spot in the world away from the United States and be the world supreme leader of everything. And yet they, along with other countries, are qualifying themselves as a poor country, and they're wanting a big piece of the pie of that $70 billion a year. And we're dumb enough, and underline the word dumb, to even consider next year at another meeting with the climate change people to maybe change our vote and go in favor of this. Randy, they don't care about the climate change. I don't believe in climate change. They don't believe that they're doing anything wrong except just taking over the world supremacy, and we're dumb enough to pay them for it?
Well, exactly, and what the point is beyond me. Because if Obama really wants to seize power in the world, he would not allow them to position themselves to literally seize the power away from him, too. None of this ever makes any sense. The other day, on the news, they were talking about they were going to have 7 hurricanes, and 2 of them were going to be extremely violent. And this was the prediction. And then, since the hurricane season has passed, and there were only 2, and then neither one of them amounted to much of anything, they wanted to go ahead and make sure that people believed that this was no time to forget, what has caused it in the past. So in other words, they just continue to press forward with this insanity, and whoever believes it is insane.
Absolutely. Hey, man, I appreciate your call this morning. God bless. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Serving is the key word. You better believe it, all 7 locations. And I'll tell you what, they've got all your traction tires. They've got all the tires pinned for studs. They've got all the tires for your safe wintertime driving on the snow, the ice, and all the muck and everything. And also, don't forget, they've got the snow wheels, and they've got the tire chains, and they got the great big, great batteries to turn that engine over on those cold winter mornings. And brake service extraordinaire. These folks really do care, and they hurry and get you in and get you out so you can get back to your life's work. Absolutely the best. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Okay, let's take a a look as to what we've got coming up this next hour. At 9:06, we're going to have Americans for Prosperity, Christine Harbin Hansen, on the phone, and she's going to be talking about Obamacare. Then at 9:30, Ashley McGuire is going to be talking about how Obamacare has affected religious employees that work basically for their specific religion. And then, of course, we're going to have Dr. History at 10:06. And then at 10:30 this morning, don't miss Mike Maiden. He's the author of the book called Drones. I just got the book the other day and started reading it. One of the best novels I've ever read. Very good. And then at 10:50 this morning, we're going to have the turkey drawing for 3 turkeys. Don't miss it. I'll be back in 6. Oh my, welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch on a Tuesday, the 26th day of November. And of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. And also some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and the folks at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community.
Always at your disposal is 100% correct, because they're always there. Whether you need porta potties, or whether you need construction site management, or whether you need maybe a recycling program, they've got it all for you. Whether you need dumpsters, whatever you need, trash collection on the route service, they're there to serve you. All you have to do is call 734-6969. That number again, 734-6969, or go and learn more about Western Waste on their website, www.gowesternwaste.com. Wonderful people, been on their route service for a long time. Always at your disposal, Western Waste Services. And also, ladies and gentlemen, before we get our guest on the phone, I want to remind you, too, about our friend Joel Heward and his staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. There is nothing more trying than, of course, the passing of a loved one, and then absolutely thrown into turmoil, not knowing whether to dot the I's, cross the T's. It can be absolutely a tumultuous time for the family. Well, they always will serve you and give you the best possible support and comfort with the highest ethical standards at Hanson Mortuary. Please get a hold of them today, and we all should find out about the pre-planning of funerals to help eliminate a lot of the stress and worry for our families. Number to call, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. So thank you very much. On the air with us right now, I believe we have the Federal Policy Manager for Americans for Prosperity, the newlywed Christine Harbin Hanson. Good morning, Christine. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Great to be with you.
The burning question this morning is, are you going to have the whole family over for your Thanksgiving cooked dinner?
Not this year. This year I'm traveling. I'm going to go visit my husband's parents in Myrtle Beach, so I'm looking forward to it.
So mother-in-law is going to cook all the food?
Yes. I don't have to lift a finger. It'll be great.
Now,
How about you, Zeb?
Well,
you've been traveling?
I'm not traveling. As a matter of fact, we're going to go see some very dear friends on Thanksgiving. But you mentioned the last time you were on the program that you're really putting a lot of effort into learning how to really be a top-notch chef.
I'm trying. But it's tough when you have Well, yeah, I'm trying very hard.
God bless you. I think this is great. Okay, now let's get serious. I don't think in all my years of being in the media, I have ever, and I'm being very honest here, I'm not trying to be conservative against liberal, I'm not trying to be Republican against Democrat, but I have never seen such a debacle, such a disaster, a complete farce as Obamacare and the way it's been implemented and tried to be posed to have the public accept it. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, I share a lot of your concerns, Zeb. I agree. I think this is more than a fumble, as the president recently called it. The implementation of Obamacare has had a huge impact on hardworking Americans, and this will continue as implementation continues. And that's why here at AFP we've been one of the strongest organizations in opposing the president's health care law. We just launched a new ad campaign highlighting this impact. Right now we're spending $3.5 million in ads on politicians highlighting their votes and how they voted on this government takeover of health care.
Let me ask you something, Christine, because it always seems like when the right does something to uncover all the garbage that the left is doing, the left jumps up and says, foul, foul, you've got the Koch brothers and they're putting all their money into Americans for Prosperity and they're funding all this. Hey, wait a minute, stop the bus for a minute. What about the George Soroses and everybody else on the other side? They've done this for years, so what's wrong with what you're doing?
Well, with this new ad campaign, we're really trying to rise above that kind of conversation. In one of the ads, we talk about how healthcare isn't about politics. It's about people and the millions of people who have lost their health insurance under the president's health care law. So I, like you, Zeb, I tire of that kind of conversation about who's paying for what and jumping, political tactics, things like that. What this ad campaign does is it focuses on the disaster of the open enrollment website and all the other onerous requirements that hardworking Americans are going to see under the president's health care law. So we're continuing a lot of our hard work on this.
Now, we've had Tim Phillips on the air many times, president of the Americans for Prosperity, and I think it's an excellent campaign to remind voters about problems with the way the law had been carried out as far as Obamacare is concerned. And doggone it, let's be honest here. We've got Democratic senators, we've got Democratic House of Representative members that they stood behind Obamacare and said, oh, this is going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I think it's only in fairness that the voting public be aware of how these people were really behind Obamacare and what a disaster it is.
And certainly, no more hiding behind votes. We had a number of members who, in the House side and the Senate side too, who were working very hard in getting this passed and rushing this through Congress. But now, over 3 years later, we're finding out what's in it, and we're finding out the onerous impact that it's going to have on hardworking households. And so that's why it's really important that we remind people of, and shine a light on what's happening here on the House and Senate floor. That's one of the things that this ad campaign does. And another important part that I want to focus on is that our audience with these new healthcare ads, the ones that we're rolling out this week, our audience is women who, by and large, are making the healthcare decisions for their families.
I think that's smart because I just in passing yesterday, I was just in a hurry to get out the door and go, and I was trying to write down some little facts and figures from various newscasts that I could write up for this morning's show. And I saw a lady on the air, and I can't give you chapter and verse about what the situation was, but she was talking about how her health care has gone from a policy that her and her family really liked, and it was like $468 a month in premium, and now it's escalated to $1,268 a month, I believe, plus a much higher deductible. People have been duped into one of the worst healthcare systems ever in the United States.
And unfortunately, the story of the woman that you just highlighted is not an anomaly. That's not the only occurrence. Most people, a lot of people, are going to see their health care premiums for themselves and for their families increase under this law. And that's something that we're trying to highlight with this ad campaign. The fact that this government takeover of health care was sold to us as decreasing insurance or decreasing on insurance, as improving healthcare outcomes. But the longer we live under this, the longer we live under implementation, we find out that that's not the case. People are seeing higher costs and lower access. And many people are seeing their health insurance drop.
Christine, one of the things that's hardly ever talked about, and I'm going to mention it here this morning because I'd like to get your response on it, is nobody talks about, with these higher premiums, much higher premiums, and much higher deductibles, which means a lot of money, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars coming over and above what people and families have budgeted for. That means they're going to be buying less groceries. That means they're going to be spending less at the shoe store, less at the ice cream parlor, less at the local businesses, and that hurts the entire economy.
That's right. There are going to be a lot of secondary effects that stem from these higher healthcare costs. You're going to see a lot of families who, have a tight budget, have to make that decision. Am I going to see my doctor for this extra flu shot, or am I going to take my child in when he's sick? Or am I going to, will I pay for that copay, or will I put more food on my table this week? That is a decision that many people are making right now. Again, going back to our message, this is healthcare. This is not politics that we're talking about. This is about people, and we see that people are struggling right now with this healthcare law.
Christine, in any way, shape, or form, and you follow this every day, I'm sure, and there has to be news and press releases that go over your desk that the American public won't hear until 5 o'clock news. But is there any way that they can actually save this completely chaotic system that's fallen apart like a cheap suit by November 30th? Is there any way at all?
There are many ways, and I think over this Thanksgiving break and over this holiday season, Americans are really presented with an opportunity because members are going to be back in their home districts. They're not going to be here in Washington. And here at Americans for Prosperity, in many of our state chapters, we're actually going to be hosting a lot of town hall events. So that's one way to, just show up and give your elected officials an earful and tell them that you oppose this government takeover of healthcare, that you oppose all these higher costs and that's going to take an effect many people are already seeing. One way is to just show up at a town hall and do that. Another way is to go to our Action Center, our online Action Center. If you go to actions.americansforprosperity.org, we make it really easy to just send a note to your congressperson and let them know.
Okay, but my question would be that you or Tim Phillips or anybody with Americans for Prosperity, you probably thought about this and talked about this. This Obamacare has been so disruptive and has caused so much heartache, and so many people right now are in limbo and absolutely on high blood pressure pills because they don't know what they're going to do to pay for maybe their chemo treatments or maybe their kidney dialysis or whatever the case might be. Is this been so disruptive that we can never put the healthcare system back together again? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm an optimist, and I won't say that Humpty Dumpty can't ever be put back together again, I guess, to use your example. But I think the first step is repealing this misguided law outright. And once we have that conversation, once we get that out of the way, then we'll be able to have a conversation about how to inject more competition and free markets into this. There is an overwhelming number of problems and market distortions that are caused by government in our healthcare markets, and I think it's possible, but it's not going to be easy.
Well, I don't mean to put you on the spot on this, but it's a question that has to be asked. How do you repeal a health care act now that has been in effect basically since October 1st and has caused so much misery and so many cancellations and so many people with lack of coverage? How do you repeal something and then absolutely stand back and say, look at the chaotic mess it is, what do we do now?
Well, I think there's a number of things you could do, and really this is another show, but very quickly, there are a number of things that you could do. For example, right now in healthcare, there are some really tight occupational licensing requirements. And what that means is that it's difficult. A nurse practitioner can't go in and write a prescription for a person, or things like that. There are many things that we require doctors and other kinds of physicians to do that easily could be taken by a nurse tech or things like that. If we would relax some of the licensing requirements in healthcare, then that would be one way to decrease the cost of healthcare here. So there are a number of things. Again, that's a conversation that we need to have immediately after we repeal this misguided law.
Status
quo is not acceptable.
Yeah, but there's a caveat here. I agree with you that it's another conversation perhaps for another show, but it all ties together with the break coming up of our senators and our congressmen coming home. And if it's a Democrat in a red state like Mary Landrieu or maybe Mark Begich of Alaska, whatever, people need to be prepared to look them in the eye and ask these questions and put them on the spot, because if they're running for re-election, they darn sure better have some good answers.
Oh, I agree. And actually, one thing that's really telling is to be able to see some of the fallout that's really happening within the president's own party. We see people like Mary Landrieu really in the hot spot here, calling on the president for pushing back some of the deadlines, particularly with the glitches, to put it nicely, with the health insurance websites. We see people from, Senate Democrats coming out and saying, like, you need to fix this because this has been so poorly implemented. And the tough thing is the people who get caught in the crosshairs, the people who have to live under this, are the people back at home, the people in their home districts. And so they're upset. their elected officials are upset. We need to fix this right now, and that's why we're doing this. We're highlighting this with this new ad campaign.
I know this is hindsight, but it's a question that I think needs to be asked and answered by a lot of people. How come the Mary Landrieux or the Kay Hagans or the Mark Begich or anybody else could not see or could not ask or could not wonder about the implementation of Obamacare and find out where it was along the way and really show some concern as to the opening day, kind of a preview or a premiere of a movie? It wasn't even ready to be played, and nobody really showed any concern.
Well, I can't really. I won't attempt to read what was going on in their minds when they agreed and worked with the president in fast tracking this what was really a discussion draft into law. Again, actually, this was politics, not about people. They rushed this through, on Christmas Eve in the Senate, and that's wrong. And what we need to do is really highlight that this was not supposed to be the law that we're looking at right now. It's been gutted by federal agencies because it was rushed through lawsuits, rushed to the president's desk so quickly because they were worried about whether they'd be able to pass it or not. That we're left with this glitched discussion draft. And so that's one of the things that we've been highlighting here.
Absolutely. One final thought on this, if you would, please, Christine, is that politically speaking, and I have shown my angst for both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, because I think both of them have got a lot of holes in their screen doors and the flies are coming inside. But the Republicans, if they were smart, they could really take over the Senate and the House of Representatives, but they better start laying out in front of the public their ideas, their concepts, and do it in a very professional manner, and I think the Democrats will hang themselves. Do you agree?
Well, I can't read the tea leaves and how this will play out in 2014 or anything. But I do agree that what we need is more optimism. We need more working across the aisles. I think that we can do this with an increasing support among Democrats for opposing the president's health care law. I think there's an opportunity here for some bipartisan opposition to this. And hopefully that's something that can be carried over to other areas in public policy, not just in healthcare. Our energy policy is in dire need for reform. Our farm policy is in dire need for reform.
I agree.
Hopefully people will start working together in a way that puts American households before special interests.
Amen. What's your favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner? I got to find that out.
Hands down, the pumpkin pie.
You like pumpkin pie? I like pecans smothered with a great big scoop of vanilla ice cream.
Oh, that sounds good.
Hopefully
does. I'll have that at my in-laws' house.
Okay, well, listen, God's blessings for a very happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you so much, Zeb. Have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you very much. Christine Harbin-Hansen, Federal Policy Manager of the Americans for Prosperity, talking about Obamacare on our show this morning. And in just a few minutes, we're going to have Ashley McGuire on, and she's going to also be talking about the effects of Obamacare. Stand by for that. Don't forget, when you talk about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, you had better talk to the professionals at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Dean and Todd, very dedicated and responsive to your needs and your thoughts of protecting and giving you the security and providing the security that you need. Call them at 436-4424. 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Caller, I will be there in just a moment. I've got to pay some more bills here real quick. I hope you'll understand. The next lunch bunch, our combination of Thanksgiving and Christmas lunch bunch, will be at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant on December the 5th. And we want to say thank you to some of our great sponsors, and they include, of course, our gift certificates from Smith's Food King, Walmart, and Hanson Mortuary. Don't miss it. It's going to be great at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant. Oh, rich cream pies made with 100% real whipped cream. and fantastic fruit pies and mammoth muffins and scrumptious cookies and all kinds of sweet treats. You're going to love it at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's always great. Don't forget, December 5th, lunch bunch at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, 800 North Overland in Burley. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
How you doing this morning, Mr. Bell?
Good, sir.
Hey, I was listening back here a little bit earlier. Last night I was watching one of the news channels from the Den of Iniquity about 3 hours north of us here. And they did state last night on the news that somebody had got a hold of a spokesman from the State Department, and they did say that they had said that they did bring up Abedini's name in the talks, but when they brought up the name, their statement was that the Iraqis just didn't act like that they even cared, and that they didn't say anything about it and bring it up. And so the United States just dropped it.
Well, again, I don't mean to correct you, but you misspoke. You said Iraqis, it's Iranians.
Iranians, yeah, pardon me.
And I find that abhorrent. I think that, number one, when we have an American citizen that was over there doing nothing more than trying to set up orphanages that would aid and abet actually everybody in the area, and to be taken hostage like he has and to be thrown in prison like he has, that should have been first and foremost to look in the eyes of the Iranians that were sitting at the negotiating table and say, now look, you're not going to get any consolations from us whatsoever until you release that man. So what I would suggest you do, you go to the prison right now with a motorcade, get him on one of those Jeeps, and get him right to the American embassy closest to you now. I just don't think there were enough forceful negotiations at all.
No, it's just, it's just Obama, letting his Muslim brothers, get away with anything they want to.
Well, let's put a little blame on John Kerry's shoulders, too. I think John Kerry has always been the biggest appeaser this country's ever had in political office since he condemned the United States in the Vietnam War.
Oh, yeah, he should have been kicked out a long time ago. So, but anyway, I just thought you'd like to know what I'd heard.
I appreciate it, and it just frustrates me even more that there wasn't harder honestly, quickly, just give me an answer to this. Do you believe that this agreement in backing off on the sanctions and taking Iran's word that they're going to back off on nuclear activity, do you really agree with that?
No. Yeah, those people lie out their teeth all the time. I mean, they've proven it over the last 40, 50 years. I mean, every time. It doesn't matter if it's Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, any of them.
Absolutely.
But appreciate it. But I got one fast question. What day are you going to do your caroling? Because I want to come and join.
December 19th. It's Thursday, December 19th at 5:30. We're all going to gather over at Ramsey Heating and Electric, and I will look forward to meeting you and having you on our trailer, okay?
All right, will do, sir, and you have a very, very nice and happy Thanksgiving.
And the same to you. God bless you. Thank you so much. That was really nice. Hey, listen, ladies and gentlemen, what's coming up in Burley on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30? You know what it is? It's the third annual Christmas Light Parade. Yes, Bama Burley Area Merchants Association. They have a whale of a good time with this. Entertainment beginning at 6 o'clock, and everybody's going to gather on the parade route. And then, of course, Santa's going to arrive at Centennial Park, and he's going to turn on the Christmas lights. Entertainment's going to begin. Free hot chocolate, donuts, and cookies will be served, and vendors will be selling food and gift items. And some stores are even going to stay open until 8 o'clock. And remember to shop locally. Come on! Support your local stores with Burley Area Merchants Association. Let's keep the money and all the goodies right there in our own area, shall we? I tell you what, these are good folks. Don't forget the third annual Christmas Light Parade on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30. Caller, real quick, go ahead with your call. I got to get another guest on the phone in 1 minute.
I was wondering, everybody's talking about this pastor from Boise, Abedini.
Yes.
Last night on the Fox News, they said that Iran has 3 Americans in prison over there. What are the other 2?
I believe that's true, and I've got to get some more information on those other 2 people to really be forthright with the information. But, here's the deal. regardless if it's 2, if it's 1, if it's 3, if it's 5. When you negotiate any kind of a treaty, why can't human lives and American citizens be first and foremost on anything?
I agree with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. God bless you. Have a good day. Thank you. I just got a call from Gina, and Gina is saying Ashley isn't answering. It's going to voicemail. That's not good. That's not good. If you'd just keep trying, Gina, I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you very much. While we are waiting for our guest to get on the phone with us this morning, I'd appreciate your phone calls, and they would be much appreciated, or else we're just going to sit back and have dead air. Or we'll call Kilt Man and have him sing another Christmas carol. Hey, don't forget Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts Center, Scow's Incorporated. These are really, really nice people, and their slogan goes right along with what they say every day. Every detail matters. Whatever you need done for your vehicles, whatever you need for safe winter driving, whatever you need to do to protect yourself, from the elements with better wiper blades or the Prestone or Prestone Dexcool, concentrate, the antifreeze and the coolants, or whether it's checking your brakes or whatever, you better check with the people that really can help you. And that's Scow's CarQuest in Rupert at 323 East 8th Street, Highway 25 in Rupert, CarQuest of Burley, 518 Overland in Burley, and Scow's Big Truck Center, I-84 exit 211. And every Wednesday at 9:30 tomorrow, we're going to have the In the Driver's Seat with my buddy Jeff Poole. We've got a guest, a secret guest coming on tomorrow to talk on the show, so it should be really interesting. Don't forget, Scow's, where every detail matters. Let's see if we've got another call coming in here. We'll check with Gina. Do we have anybody on the air, Gina?
No, we've got Ashley on the air for you.
Oh, you did? You got her.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks to my wonderful engineer and quarterback of the program, Gina Jameson, we've got Ashley McGuire ready to go. And good morning, Ashley McGuire. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well, thanks. How are you?
I always look forward to having you on the air. And, I never have asked you. Give us a little background about what you do and who you represent before we get into the topic of Obamacare this morning. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm with a group called the Catholic Association, and we represent lay Catholics who care about things like religious liberty.
Okay.
For them, I do a lot of writing mostly, and then some different speaking and different work on the topic of religious freedom, things like that.
Now, I understand, of course, that you've been very outspoken, and God bless you for it, about the mistruths that have been peddled by Obamacare. What do you mean mistruths? We could go on, I know, but amplify some of those that you're really concerned about.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm sure many people are starting to realize that the President and his administration deceived Americans when it came to the way they sold the Affordable Care Act. And for a lot of religious people, we've known about this for a long time because when Congress was debating this bill, one of the biggest concerns religious people raised was whether or not they were going to have to do anything with regards to the bill that violated their consciences. And the president explicitly said on multiple occasions that the bill would have strong religious liberty protections and that nobody would be forced to violate their conscience. Well, fast forward 2 years, and you have the biggest religious liberty lawsuit in the history of the United States against this administration. And by the way, we could hear any minute from the Supreme Court whether or not it's going to hear several of the cases which have already reached the Supreme Court because employers are being forced, regardless of their religious beliefs, to pay for and provide things like abortion drugs in their health care plan.
Ashley, I'm sitting here every day on this program, and every day, quite frankly, I'm condemning Obamacare and the ill effects that it's having not only on families and business owners, but also our economy. And I mentioned last half hour I had Christine Harbin Hansen on from the Americans for Prosperity. And what this is doing to our economy is absolutely destructive all the way around. People are saving money, trying to come up with money because of these enormous price tags for new insurance policies and higher deductibles, and it's absolutely killing the economy because they're not buying shoes, they're not buying ice cream cones, they're not buying clothes. This thing is one of the biggest debacles that's ever been in American history.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And, where we're coming from at the Catholic Association is less related to the economic impact, although it's certainly one can make the claim that it's immoral the way that the impact of this bill is going to fall most heavily on the shoulders of middle-class Americans, which is, again, another lie that the president said, because, the whole bill was sold as something that was going to help middle-class families. And, if you're making $500,000 a year and your premiums go from $300 a month to $900 a month, you can make that work. But if you're making $70,000 a year and you have a kid in college, another kid about to go to college, and a mortgage, you can't afford to see your premiums go from $300 a month to $900 a month. But that is exactly what is happening to millions of people. And forget about the people who are losing their plans and losing their doctors in the middle of things like cancer treatment.
Mm-hmm. How in the world, honestly, could the Supreme Court or any court or public opinion allow Obamacare to skirt the First Amendment when it comes to respecting a religion?
Well, we'll see what's going to happen. I mean, the Supreme Court is going to be weighing in on this for the first time. They'll decide today whether or not they're going to hear two major cases in this Affordable Care Act mandate, which requires the employers to pay for things like contraception and abortifacient. And they're going to decide whether or not they're going to hear the case of Hobby Lobby, which is a company owned by Christian evangelicals who cannot pay for abortifacient drugs because of their religious beliefs. And if they don't comply with this mandate, they're looking at fines of up to $1.3 million a day. So how this happened, I don't know, but I think that what happened was the bill gave the president a tremendous amount of authority. And the first thing that he did was to turn around and do that, to require employers to violate their conscience. But a new poll just came out from the Alliance Defense Fund that I saw today that shows that the majority of Americans oppose the mandate. So there's some good news on that front, but right now the ball is entirely with the court.
I sometimes find it very hard to put faith in the Supreme Court, especially after what Judge Roberts did initially. But let me go back just a little bit and ask you this, because, Ashley, I said on this program the day after it happened, how could the Supreme Court make a ruling on this and basically, in very simple layman's terminology, call it a tax? And then Obama tries to dismantle what the Supreme Court looked at and passed on, changed it quite a few times under the table, etc., so it's not the same product. Shouldn't it have been Obamacare? Should it not have been null and void at that point because it was totally different than what the Supreme Court passed on?
Well, you're getting a little outside of my bailiwick with regards to the legality of all of this. I mean, I think that you can I don't think it's rocket science to look at the Constitution and say there's no authority to force people to buy something merely because they exist. But, I think the law should be null and void, or at least the Health and Human Services mandate should be null and void because it's such an egregious violation of religious liberty. Yeah. And, one silver lining is that when the Supreme Court did issue its ruling on the Affordable Care Act, justices on the left and the right basically issued warnings in their different opinions saying that no portion of this law could violate religious liberty, that that would be a step too far. So I think some of us, we have our hopes and our fingers crossed that they'll hold true to that. And then another thing to look at is its recent decision in the Hosanna Tabor case, which was the biggest religious liberty decision in decades, and it was a 9-0 decision against the Obama administration, trying to basically tell or decide for the American public what is and is not religious belief, which is a similar thing that's at stake here, because you have the administration trying to say that, religious employers don't get to have religious beliefs, basically. They can't make business decisions based on their religious views, which is crazy, but that is exactly what they are arguing with the Department of Justice. So I think that there's reason to be hopeful that if you look at some of what the Supreme Court has done, it may have been a bad decision with the Affordable Care Act, but they do still seem to value religious freedom.
Ashley, you study this, you look at this every day, you speak about it every day, but I'll just come right out and say it. You can agree or disagree or not even make a comment. I have never in my lifetime, and I'm probably quite a bit older than you, but I've never seen in the last 5.5 years more of an assault on Christianity and Christian beliefs and Christian aspects in our life as we have through this Obama administration. They're rolling over rights of Christians and religious organizations like a steamroller. Would you agree or disagree?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't hesitate at all in agreeing with that. I mean, I think it's just been one onslaught after another. I mean, one of the first things that President Obama did was to cancel the government grants for the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops human trafficking, because even though they're one of the leading organizations fighting sexual human trafficking of women and children, because they won't refer women and girls to have abortions because they oppose abortion. So they canceled their government grants. Only groups that refer women who've been human trafficked to abortions get a grant. So, you know, and then you look at look what the president did with the Gettysburg Address. He read a version and omitted the words under God. That's like the 10th time that he's done that. I think he's made it infinitely clear that he just does not care for religion or religious freedom. And I don't think that it's at all an extreme position to take. I think the facts speak for themselves. The fact that he has the biggest religious liberty lawsuit in the history of the United States filed against him and his administration speaks for itself.
Yeah. One final point here. I want to go back to what you said a little bit ago about Hobby Lobby. And if they don't conform with what Obamacare demands, they could be fined up to $1.3 million a day, which is an automatic death knell for that company that was doing nothing wrong other than trying to make a living and go for the American dream of success in this country. And what this tells me is that Obamacare is such a dictatorship, and this administration is starting to lean that way, that if you don't conform to their wants and their works, they can put you out of business and squash you like a bug. And what about Hobby Lobby? How are they trying to fight this?
Well, I mean, they've been fighting it in the court since day one, and right now their case is sitting at the Supreme Court, and it's up to the Supreme Court if they're going to hear it. They have had multiple victories, including the most recent victory, which I think was at the 10th Circuit. But I think, I think what we can expect is for them not to comply. If they get a bad decision, it's not just Hobby Lobby, it's countless religious charities. I mean, there's more than 200 plaintiffs right now, and I think the only reason there aren't more plaintiffs is because everybody is, not everybody can afford to hire lawyers, and fortunately groups like the Beckett Fund are helping these people pro bono, but I think a lot of people are waiting to see what ends up happening with some of these other companies before they make a move. But there is absolutely no way that the Little Sisters of the Poor are going to pay for abortion drugs in their plans. There is no way that a family like the Green family, owners of Hobby Lobby, are just going to say, okay, bad decision at the Supreme Court, guess I'll violate my conscience. But I don't think they're going to pay the money either, and I'm curious to see if the IRS will actually enforce these outrageous fines. So, it's completely unprecedented territory, so it's hard to predict what's going to happen, but I think, we're only seeing the momentum growing against the HHS mandate.
Absolutely. Ashley McGuire, I always enjoy having you on the air. You're very straightforward, very easy to listen to, and articulate. Thank you, and God bless, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and come back again soon and see us, okay?
Thanks so much. You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Wow. Look at the insidious effects of Obamacare and what they're doing and what they're imposing and what they're demanding. I mean, they're going against the Constitution. How many times have they gone against the Constitution on other matters? And the American public just sits back and does nothing about it. We just sit back and absorb this like a sponge. This is an insidious, hateful, vengeful type organization called the Obama administration. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. Please, you got to have a little patience with me because we've got to do the weather real quick this half hour. And it's brought to everybody by Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Heyburn. Oh, they've got all the Gosner cheese platters, cheese balls, gift baskets are 20% off through Thanksgiving. Get one. Don't forget, baskets start at just $15.95 and up, and they can deliver locally. Oh, you're going to love the food. You're going to love the people at the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust Restaurant, 1367th Street in Heyburn. Here's Michael Rogers with the weather.
Hey, my Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Good news today. Now, you know, if I say good news, you're going to want a distinction that maybe, well, if there's good news or bad news. No, it's not really any bad news. So basically, the weather for today is good news. It's going to be warmer today than what it was yesterday. 52 for the high, 23 for the overnight low. It's in the 50s all the way through the weekend as we start getting closer to Thanksgiving Day. Hey, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you this hour by the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust Restaurant, 1360 7th Street in Hayburn. Really nice folks. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to remind everybody, too, about a Black Friday sale that'll knock your socks off. Once-in-a-lifetime savings at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Woo! They are going to have some special buys that you just cannot believe. They've got area rugs for $99. They've got entry lockers for $199. They've got quilt racks for $79. You can save money, and this is a 2 days only sale, Friday, November 29th, and Saturday, November 30th, this weekend. Big Black Friday sale, once-in-a-lifetime savings at our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Brent Lee and the gang wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. Stop in and see them at 459 Overland in Burley. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. There's one thing that's apparent to me about Obamacare is, and it has created a warfare between the younger generation and the older generation, and it is not the fault of the younger generation or the older generation. It is the fault of Obamacare.
I agree. There seems to be a lot of dissent as to what's happening and who's going to pay for this, that, and the other. And quite frankly, everything's aimed at an animosity factor now, with the younger generation having to sit back and say, gee, if I pay this, all I'm doing is supporting somebody else, mainly the elderly. I don't want to do it. And if they don't pay, then the whole thing's going to fall onto the middle class as a tax structure, and everybody's going to suffer over this thing, no matter who you are or what age you are.
That's right. We didn't have this problem before Obamacare. Everything was going good. We had Medicaid to take care of people and Medicare to take care of the others.
I just don't see it getting any better, and I also am very concerned about a repeal of Obamacare to the point where, look at the residual effect as to what's already happened, Tony, and I mentioned this with a couple of our callers. People have lost insurance, people have lost coverage. People are not having any coverage right now. They can't get on the website. They can't refurbish a new policy. They've got perhaps health problems with maybe chemo treatments or kidney dialysis. They don't have any coverage. They're absolutely scared about jumping over the cliff come January 1st. This is a complete disaster.
Well, there's one person on 25 this morning that was on it. They were paying $490 for health insurance. Now it's jumped up to $1,252, and they've got car payments and house payments.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know exactly the story you're talking about. It's doubled, and they're having to cut back on everything just to try to make their commitment to the health insurance. Tony, God bless you, and thanks for your call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. And I also want to mention some more of our great holiday sponsors that are wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas, including Nicole and the crew at Mad River Laser. It doesn't get any better than these folks. Oh, are they talented? And they're located at 700 South Oneida Street in Rupert. They can do anything. You ought to see the fancy steak knives they made for me that say Zeb at the Ranch. Man, they can do anything for you at Mad River Laser. And Dot Foods in Burley, nation's largest food redistributor. That's hard to say. 1541 West 27th Street in Burley. With job opportunities and part-time warehouse men needed, call them at 678-6063. Wishing you a happy Thanksgiving, along with gas, heating oil, diesel, motor oil, antifreeze, and lubes. All of this at Dixon Oil Company, 602 South 2nd Street in Rupert. Really nice people. Daryl and the crew wishing you a happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. Really nice people right here in this Magic Valley, wishing you the best of holidays. Okay, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And while we're waiting for your calls that I hope are coming in, we also want to mention our friends at Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. All the snow machines, all the ATVs, all the 2014 models, all the accessories. Everything you're looking for is right there where the fun is sold. Let's ride. Yes, let's ride. Get out and enjoy the greatness of Southern Idaho outdoors. You better believe it. And they've got a super parts and service department. If you have any problem, they can fix it. I know they can. These are great guys. Let's ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. You stop in and see them today. What's going on over at the studio this morning, Gina?
Nada. I'm thinking about food, honestly.
Really?
I'm hungry.
What a novel thing for you to think about.
I know, huh?
Never had that happen before.
Never,
yeah.
ever.
You're the only girl, or actually any employee over at the station, where Kim Lee has had to buy a discount on microphones because of the rust from you drooling all over them.
Either that or the gnaw mark. Jerry loves me, I'm sure. He's like, Gina, would you just knock it off? You're ruining our microphones. I'm like, Jerry, I can't help it. I'm hungry.
You gnaw on the microphone? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So again, I want to reiterate that we will not have a show on Thursday.
No.
Thanksgiving Day.
Yes.
Because you will be with the snowbirds.
I will be AWOL.
Flying south.
Yes.
And partaking in a warm Thanksgiving.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when are you going to come back? Probably at 8:05 Monday?
Pretty much. No, we'll be back Sunday night.
Excuse me, Sunday night. Okay.
Yeah.
And Kennedy's all set for a happy Thanksgiving?
He is. He's going to be spending Thanksgiving with his daddy, so that's going to be a good time. And so we are pretty much all set and ready to go. It's just, the timing issue of me being able to break loose of this place. But it's I'm very much looking forward to getting out of town.
Needless to say, she's standing there. I was kidding about it earlier this morning, but see, we've got a computer line over to the main studios and a little camera over there, and I can see you right now. You are the only board operator / program director with a can of 3-in-1 oil in your hand, making sure the door doesn't rush shut.
Baby, WD-40 and duct tape. That's what we will survive on here.
It's a shame, but, people say, well, you got to be dedicated to your job, and you got to do this, that, and the other. But, boy, if you get some time off, you relish every minute of it.
Oh, heck yeah, because, with what we do, it's a 24/7, 365 business, and so we do relish the days that we get off because they don't come around very often.
Yeah, and, I might say at this juncture that we're already making plans right after the first of the year on January 6th. Gina, of course, is going to head up and quarterback my program along with Sharon Hardy Mills. We're going to be out of town because I have to have surgery.
Yes.
So.
And we're looking forward to, I'm excited for you because this is going to be something that you absolutely need. So
can't wait much longer.
No, it needs to be done, and I know that you've been talking about it for a long time, so I'm glad that all of this is finally coming to fruition for you.
I am too. Oh, and by the way, something else that I'm looking forward to is next hour at 10 minutes to 11, we're going to give away not one, not two, but 3 turkeys.
Are you ready for turkey dinner?
I am, and we want to say thank you very much. Valley White Home and Ranch in Rupert, Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, Smith's Food King in Burley, and, of course, Zebeth Ranch for the turkeys we're going to give away. And we've had a lot of nice people send in either emails or the snail mail with the stories of what Thanksgiving means to them.
Yes.
Now, I was going to say that we saved each and every one of them. And I'm not going to take the time during the drawing to read all the different paragraphs, but what I am going to do is save some of those and read them at a later date. There's a lot of emotion in these, and I just want to share that with the audience.
Maybe that would be great for Christmas.
It would be, because I'm thankful for so many things for this entire holiday period.
Me too.
So,
I'm just thankful that we get to have a holiday.
Yes, and I hope I get a chance to give you your Christmas present that Deanna and I have for you in person.
Oh, really? Is it a lemon meringue pie? Oh, no, wait, that's my birthday.
No, when is your birthday? It's not until, June, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, and I was going to tell you that on December 19th, I know that's when we plan the caroling.
Yeah.
But I also found out that that's the same evening that Kennedy School has their Christmas concert.
We'll bring the whole bunch with us.
Okay.
Yeah, we can have the whole school have their Christmas concert right then.
Okay.
We'll take them on the wagon. It's 5:30, and they'll be able to sing a little bit, wouldn't they?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and they'll be all dressed for it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kids never get cold when you got hot chocolate and cookies.
Amen.
They can stand there in their skivvies and love it.
Kennedy probably would, too.
All right. Hey, thanks, Gina. I got to do a commercial here real quick. Don't forget, once again, the sponsors for the Rupert tree lighting that's going to take place on the Rupert Square on November 29th this Friday. And our thanks go to the Happy Camper at 102 South Oneida, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, great food over at the Happy Camper. And Create Memories with Kings at 313 F Street in Rupert. Really nice people over there. The Gathering Place at 524 6th Street in Rupert. Largest quilting store in Idaho. Boy, that's quite a deal. Nancy's Rupert Floral, 508 6th Street in Rupert, where their bloomers always smell good. I love that. And then TNT at 424 South Oneida. Travis can fix anything except trains and planes because the tracks and the runways don't go to his front door. He can do everything else. All of these people saying, come on over to the Rupert tree lighting on Friday, November 29th. This Friday. Don't miss it. Okay, next hour, we are going to have Dr. History at 10:06, and then at 10:30, don't miss Mike Maiden. He is the author of the book called Drones. I just started reading the book night before last. Whoa, very, very exciting, action-packed thriller, and we're going to have him on the air at 10:30. Let's see, what else have I got to remind you of? Don't forget, December 5th, Thursday at 11:30, we're going to be at Perkins Restaurant for Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and our thanks to Smith's Food King, Walmart, and Hanson Mortuary. All kinds of door prizes. It's our combination Thanksgiving and Christmas lunch bunch. Call your neighbors. Well, I want to fill that room up. We're going to have just all kinds of fun for our combination Thanksgiving and Christmas party on December 5th at Perkins Restaurant. Don't miss it. We'll see you there, okay? We're going to head to the news right now from ABC and then be back in about 6 minutes with much, much more right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in about 6 minutes. Morning. Good morning. I love that music. That's one of my favorite lead-ins right there. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of the great advertisers on this program, like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service, 734-6969. We are going to have Dr. History with us in just a few moments. I want to remind everybody quickly, the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness, they've got delicious food over there. I know, I've been there. Delicious luncheon specials every Monday through Friday for just $5.95. And something new for you, of course, the Senior Citizen Dinner Special, Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 p.m. Again, only $5.95. What's the special for today? Ground round steaks with mashed potatoes, veggies, and soup or salad. Going to be good, always good. At the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Oh, and by the way, I want to remind everybody that we are very blessed on this show to have a segment on Thursdays called School Days in Cassia County, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, where you can shop online. Go to achildsworldinburley.com, and they've got all the Cherokee and Dickey scrubs and the shoes, and oh, by the way, ladies, hundreds of wonderful dresses for the holidays, and if you mention that you heard it on my program, you can save $5 per dress. Ho, ho! Save money. Shop at a great family store, A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And something very important for everybody to remember, our other sponsor of School Days in Cassia County, Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Great people, just absolutely great people. Here's the number, 677-8888. For over 14 years, the Ambulatory Surgery Center of Burley has saved area families thousands of dollars with outstanding medical care. Thanks again to the Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World for sponsoring School Days in Cassia County. Well, look who's here. with his nose pressed up against the glass, watching the little choo-choo trains go round and round and round. The old Father Time of Christmas, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb. You must have known I was watching that favorite Christmas story. Let's see, what's it called? The Christmas Story. The little boy that wants to beat the gun.
Nothing gets by you, Doc. A Christmas Story. Yep, that's the name, A Christmas Story.
That's it. That's always a fun one.
I love it. Oh, my goodness. Hey, have you had a good week so far?
It's been great, and it's going to continue to be even better this week.
Oh, I hear that maybe your family's going to get all together and you're going to try to eat like 17 pieces of pecan pie.
We're having Thanksgiving on Thursday. The rest of the kids are coming in Friday. Saturday, we're going to do Christmas.
Uh-oh.
Because we can't get everybody together at Christmas, but we can this weekend. So we're going to have a kind of a pre-Christmas this Saturday.
Do not, in any terminology whatsoever, get stuck in the chimney.
Okay. It's going to be a great week, though. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, last week you outdid yourself with one of the best stories I'd ever heard. What are you going to have today on Dr. History?
Because it is Thanksgiving, I just kind of like to get the old historical stuff that's closest to us, and that's Thanksgiving.
Oh, bring on the turkeys and the old boom. What did they call those guns they had back in Pilgrim days? They were a blunderbuss, weren't they?
Yeah, you wonder if anything is left of the old turkey,
Yeah.
But, Thanksgiving, of course, is celebrated primarily in the United States and Canada. But, it's usually celebrated in Canada on the second Monday of October, and then on the fourth Thursday in November here in the United States. But, because of the long-standing traditions of the holiday, the celebration always usually goes into, Friday and Saturday through the weekend. But, there are several other places around the world that observe other celebrations of Thanksgiving, I guess, if you want to call it that. But, originally Thanksgiving had roots in religious and cultural celebrations, cultural tradition. And, unfortunately, we've kind of gone a little bit away from the religious part of that, which is, you get the Black Friday thing, and I don't know. I think a lot of us still, though, give thanks in a religious manner for Thanksgiving.
I absolutely refuse to sit down to Thanksgiving dinner without having a very, very thank-filled prayer. And I'm so glad you brought that up this morning. I think families really need to start looking back in their history of the way things were or the way things ought to be. That's my slogan on this program. And family traditions like really giving thanks for the things they have, not what they want.
Exactly. So, let's go back a few hundreds of years. Back then there were prayers of thanks and special Thanksgiving ceremonies were common among, almost all religions, especially after harvest and at other times. And if you look at some of the Indian traditions, they also a lot of times had some type of a religious holiday, if you want to call it that, in the fall after harvesting, if that's what they did. But, the holidays history in North America really is rooted back to the English traditions, dating clear back to the Protestant Reformation. But that also had aspects of a harvest festival, even though in New England the harvest was, usually quite a bit earlier, but even though we celebrated in November. But in the Old English tradition, days of Thanksgiving and special religious services became important during the English Reformation in the reign of Henry VIII. So that's clear back into the 1500s.
Yeah, well, you'd know more about that area in our history than I would.
Well, it's fascinating to me, the Old English history. That's where my ancestors came from.
I see.
But, during the time of Henry VIII, before he divorced and killed some wives, he was a Catholic. And, before he started the Church of England, and in about 1536, there were about 95 church holidays, plus 52 Sundays, and the people were actually required to attend church. And because of that, they had to give up a day of work, and sometimes they had to actually pay for some of these expensive celebrations. So in about 1536, there were some reforms that took place, and they reduced the church holidays to 27. But there were some Puritans, some kind of, I guess you would call them the radical reformers of their age, and they wanted to get rid of all church holidays, including Christmas and Easter. So, and of course that didn't take place, but then holidays were kind of replaced by special days of fasting or days of Thanksgiving, and sometimes they had special days viewed as because they felt like they had gotten special blessings coming from God.
Mm-hmm.
For example, a battle victory, or even like a political victory or something. They would have a day of Thanksgiving for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, now we'll move ahead a few hundred years up to about 1621.
Okay.
Of course, that's when the Plymouth colonists and the Wampanoag Indians shared what we consider the autumn harvest feast that is acknowledged today as one of the first Thanksgiving celebrations in the colonies. And for more than 2 centuries, days of Thanksgiving were celebrated by the individual colonies and states at different times. So it really wasn't until 1863, and that was right in the middle of the Civil War, and this is when Abraham Lincoln proclaimed a national Thanksgiving Day.
I see.
To be held each November.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we go clear back to 1620, this is when the Mayflower left Plymouth, England, carrying 102 passengers. And here we had an assortment of religious people seeking a new home where they could freely practice their faith, and other individuals that were lured by the promise of prosperity and land in the New World. So after, a pretty treacherous and uncomfortable crossing that lasted 66 days, they dropped anchor near the tip of Cape Cod, and which was actually north of where they actually intended to be at the mouth of the Hudson River. But 1 month later, the Mayflower crossed Massachusetts Bay, and where the Pilgrims, they're commonly known, began to work at establishing a village at Plymouth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we've heard about the brutal winters. I mean, most of the colonists actually stayed on board the ship, and they suffered from exposure, scurvy, contagious diseases.
They stayed on the ship during the winter?
Original passengers and crew lived to see their first New England spring.
Oh, wow.
So about 102, we're down to about 50. So anyway, in the spring and March, the remaining settlers moved ashore, and they received a pretty astonishing visit from an Abenaki Indian who greeted them in English. And several days later, he returned with another Indian, and you know his name?
Al Gore.
Close. Squanto.
Oh, yeah.
So Squanto was a member of the Pawtucket tribe, and his story is he'd been kidnapped by an English sea captain, sold into slavery before escaping to London, and returning to his to his homeland on an exploratory expedition.
You sure you're not talking about Al Gore?
Well, he may claim to have done this, but I know it wasn't him. It was Squanto. So Squanto, he taught the Pilgrims, and they were pretty weak, with malnutrition, illness, and he taught them how to cultivate corn, how to extract sap from the maple trees, how to catch fish in the rivers, and which poisonous plants to avoid. So he helped the settlers kind of forge an alliance with the Wampanoag, which was a local Indian tribe.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually endured for more than 50 years, which was actually probably the only time that the whites and the Indians actually got along for that long of a period of time. So,
yeah, well, let me ask you a question here. You said a lot of the Pilgrims stayed on the original ship coming across the ocean during the wintertime, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Why didn't they plan better on their departure if it took 66 days or roughly 2 months? Why didn't they plan for a better time to come in warmer temperatures so they didn't expose themselves to the winter elements?
That's a good question, and the only thing I can think of is maybe they just didn't really realize what the climate would be when they got over here.
Oh, okay.
I really don't have a good answer to that. So.
Okay.
But anyway, so November 1621, the Pilgrims' first corn harvest proved to be really good. Governor William Bradford, he organized a feast, and he invited a group of the Indian allies, the Wampanoag chief, and this is kind of what we remember as the first Thanksgiving. And although the Pilgrims themselves may not have used the term at the time, it was a festival that lasted for about 3 days. And there's really no record that exists of the exact menu, but there was one guy that wrote, he said that the Governor Bradford had sent some guys out hunting and for birds, and they came back with, who knows, ducks, geese, we don't know.
Schwann's ice cream, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the Wampanoag, they came back, they had some deer, but the historians have suggested that a lot of the dishes were likely prepared using really traditional Indian recipes, spices and cooking methods, because the Pilgrims they didn't have an oven, and the Mayflower's sugar supply had pretty much been depleted, and so they didn't have pies and cakes and desserts like we have today.
Hey, hold on just a second. We got a call with a question. It might be one of the original Pilgrims. You never know. Stand by. Go ahead, caller, real quick.
Be nice. I'm getting old, but not that old. It was the reason they didn't go earlier was because they had started out on a different ship and it was leaky. They had to turn back and get on another ship, so that put them about a month later than what they would have been normally or less.
Oh, so that's why they darn near froze to death by getting there in the late fall, huh?
Yes, and also they had a window to get out of there because the King of England did not want them to leave because they were heretics.
Aha! Well, see, you answered my question, and I appreciate it because, man, I'd have booked passage on an earlier ship, one that was bound towards maybe a cruise down in warmer climates.
God bless. Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, thank you. You too, Doc. Take care. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we think about the old wild turkey, and the wild turkey...
Now, just a minute. I got to make a clarification here.
Okay.
You're talking about a bird or the bottle?
I think that's Old Crow, isn't it?
No, there's a wild turkey, too, believe me.
Is there? Okay.
Yes, there is.
Okay, well, this wild turkey, the one that flies,
okay.
He's native to North America, and was actually pretty much used in the Indian diet. And actually, it was imported to Europe in the early part of the 16th century by the Spaniards. So that's actually one of the original birds that was here in America. So.
Okay.
But anyway, there was over 45 million or so turkeys that will be sold this Thanksgiving, but nobody will ever taste turkey like you tasted back in those days, because they're altogether different. I guess just the way they're raised, I guess, mass-produced, so to speak.
Wasn't it Benjamin Franklin that wanted to proclaim that the turkey should be the national bird?
Yes, instead of the eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. But, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this Squanto guy.
Oh, yeah, I got to hear about Squanto, better known as Al Gore.
Yes, Hal's cousin Squanto.
Yeah.
He was a Pawtucket Indian, and he's the guy who, like I say, assisted the Pilgrims after that first winter, and he really was a pretty important guy in the survival of the Pilgrims there. Anyway, Squanto, we don't really know exactly when he was born, but he was kidnapped by an Englishman named Thomas Hunt. Now, Hunt was one of John Smith's lieutenants, and Hunt was planning to sell fish and corn, and he captured some natives and took them to Spain, and he was trying to sell them, but along with some other Indians, into slavery in Spain. Well, some local friars discovered what Hunt was trying to do, and so he took the Indians, including Squanto, and they took them in order to instruct them in the Christian faith, and Squanto convinced the friars to let him try to return home. So he managed to get to London, and he lived with and worked for a guy there by the name of John Slaney, who was a shipbuilder.
I see.
Well, Slaney apparently taught Squanto more English, and anyway, Squanto tried to take part in an expedition that to go to the North American East Coast, but that fell through. He returned back to England, but at last, in about 1619, Squanto returned to his homeland aboard John Smith's ship.
Oh, boy. I was sweating bullets there for a minute that this program was going to be canceled.
You try to say that real fast.
Not going to.
Okay. John Smith's ship and Squanto.
Yeah.
So they were on an exploratory expedition along the New England coast, and he soon discovered that the Pawtucket Indians, as well as a majority of the coastal New England tribes, mostly these Wampanoag and Massachusetts, had actually been killed off the year before by an epidemic, probably more than likely with smallpox. So So anyway, Squanto finally settled in with the Pilgrims at the site of his former village, which, again, the English people had named Plymouth. And it's commonly held belief that he helped them, again, recover from that first hard winter, with teaching them how to grow corn, using, fish as fertilizer, fish heads or whatever. He taught them a lot of things, how to catch eels.
Oh, good.
Local wildlife so they could survive.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1621, Squanto was the guide and translator for settlers in that area as they traveled in and tried to make diplomatic relations with the Indians. Well, Squanto was kind of in between the Indians and the white people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point he was captured by the Wampanoag Indians and held for ransom. So Miles Standish led a team of settlers from Plymouth to rescue Squanto. Well, he was found alive and well, and he was welcomed back by the Pilgrims at Plymouth, but and he continued his role as an assistant to the colony. But although he kind of worked as a go-between or an alliance, he ended up kind of being distrusted by both the English and the Wampanoag Indians.
Yep, that's Al Gore.
So kind of do we really trust this guy?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, on his way back from a meeting to repair damaged relations between the Wampanoag and the Pilgrims, he became sick with a fever and he began bleeding from the nose. Now, some historians have kind of thought that he was poisoned by the Wampanoag Indians because they thought he'd been disloyal. So, anyway, Squanto died a few days later. He was buried in an unmarked grave. And but again, as I mentioned, peace stayed between these two groups for another 50 years.
Wow.
Which, again, was unheard of, in later years as you look at the history of the Indians and the whites.
Real quick question on this. Do you think that the early Pilgrims were so straight-laced as they were purported to be? I mean, they had to have a sense of humor and kind of a fresh or maybe a joyful outlook on life. They weren't just all dire-faced and all this kind of thing all the time, were they?
I don't think so. I mean, you look at the pictures of them dressed in their black hats and their black coats and one thing another, and kind of gives you the impression that they were a pretty somber bunch of people.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But you think of the miracles of our country that made it so that we could have a free land here to worship and speak as we wish.
Absolutely.
And truly, we do need to give thanksgiving for what we have here all year round.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, just for an example, one miracle, you think of the miracle of Jamestown. I mean, those people, they had it. This was in about 1607, 1610, right in there. They were leaving. They were going to go back to England. And the morning that they were headed out to go back to England is when a couple of the rescue ships from England came into the bay and talked them into going back to Jamestown, and they had supplies and food and more people. And I think it was the Spanish. They were coming in to take over. So what would have happened if the Spanish would have taken over Jamestown? So there's a lot of things. Columbus, I mean, all that he went through to discover America.
Absolutely. And he wasn't even aiming at it.
No,
he was lost.
But all I think it was 7 or 8 years that he kept pleading for help.
Yeah.
For somebody to back him up to head east or west. I mean, but so there's lots of miracles that have taken place over the years that have given us this country. One little thing that hit me was, had we been discovered by several countries and things not worked out, we might have been like Europe. We would have had a country of Florida, a country of Montana, a country of California, a country of, instead of a United States.
Absolutely.
Of America.
That was really interesting. You did a great job. And then, of course, Squanto, that was Al Gore, went on years later to invent the Internet, so we're all set.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad he came around.
Yeah. God bless you, man, and I certainly hope, from my humble abode to your mansion up on the peak, that we have extended to you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Well, you too, Zeb. I hope you get together and just have a good, relaxing day, and we'll give thanks and give a prayer of thanks over that food we're going to eat on Wednesday and Thursday, and and just have a great day.
You're a beloved friend of this program. Thank you. Always look forward to it. Dr. History, better known as Dr. Ken Turner. Thank you, sir, and the best to you. Thanks. Thank you. Think a lot of that, man. Dr. Ken Turner, known as Dr. History. Hey, by the way, more of our merchants that want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving and then a Merry Christmas. Located at 490 West, 100 South of Paul, Barclay Mechanical and Crane Service, raising the standard for personalized and professional lifting service. And like I said, they wish you a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much. Also, let's see what I got to get something else in here real quick, and then I got to send it back over to Gina. I want to remind you about our friends at the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply at 515 5th Street, south side of the Rupert Square. Now, don't forget, this Friday, November 29th, the Christmas lighting on the square in Rupert. I've been telling you all about that. The bookstore is going to be open from 6 to 9 p.m. that night, and there's going to be store-wide sales. Everybody's going to be in Christmas City for the lighting, and then you can stop over to the bookstore, the Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply at 515 5th Street on the south side of the square. Oh, my, they're going to have fun starting this weekend. Don't you miss a minute of it. We're going to take off for about 2 or 3 minutes and be back right after these announcements with more Zeb at the Ranch.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, we got some anniversaries we got to take care of first and foremost, and I want to wish a happy anniversary to some dear, dear friends of mine, Barbara and Alex Lissau. Happy anniversary to you today and many, many more. Don't forget, coming up on Monday, December 2nd at 6:30 at night, the 3rd annual Christmas Light Parade in Burley, put on by the Burley City and local merchants of BAMA, Burley Area Merchants Association. Wow, this is going to be a lot of fun to get in the Christmas spirit. Entertainment begins at about 6 o'clock, caroling and singing, and then Santa Claus is going to be at Centennial Park and turn on all the lights, free hot chocolate, donuts, cookies, everything. A whole shooting match is going to be just a lot of fun. And remember to support your friends and neighbors who own the local businesses when you get ready for all your Christmas shopping. Thank you to the Burley Area Merchants Association. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to get on the program a gentleman that is quite an author, and I just barely 2 days ago got this book in my office, and I started reading it, and believe me, I don't brag about things unless I really mean it. This is an outstanding book. It's called Drone, and it was written by Mr. Mike Maiden, and he's on the program with us right now. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
If I was any better, the wrong fat man would be wearing my clothes, so it's going great. And I understand you're originally from Central California. Is that correct?
Sure, country.
I beg your pardon?
Some dairy country in that part of the world, absolutely.
Absolutely. You're cutting out a little bit on that phone, so hold it really still. I don't know. We might have a bad connection here. What part of Central California? Give us the name of the town and the city, if you would.
I grew up in Stockton, California, but lived in the Turlock area for a while. My father and his family all came from Turlock, and actually have a son that lives in Turlock right now.
I have been through that area more times than I can remember. I'm in the rodeo business also, and have announced a lot of rodeos down in that part of Central California, and I don't think anybody is more familiar with Highway 99 than I am.
Yes, Highway 99 is the bane and the blessing of me. And I-5, when that finally opened up, we were quite happy. But yeah, that's a great part of the world. Great rodeo country. Also some bullfighting, by the way. There's some Portuguese folks that do traditional Portuguese bullfight in that area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mike, I got to tell you something, and like I said in the opening, I don't just brag about things unless it's necessary. I just started reading your book, and I'm about maybe into the first 100 or so pages. That is a tremendous novel. I'm really interested in it, called Drone. Now, what gave you the idea to write a book like Drone, and give us some explanation as to what you're going to be talking about in the book?
Well, first of all, you're very generous and kind. Thank you for your remarks. Drone, for me, like a lot of us who are following the war on terror, way back in 2001, very quickly we began seeing this little word called drone, or sometimes predator, or maybe Hellfire missiles were referenced. And so just began following that and paying attention to it. But when I really jumped in with both feet and began to really do some research, I was absolutely blown away by the capacities of these machines. Machines so small that they'll fit in the palm of your hand, if not on your thumbnail, or as large as a 757 jumbo jet. Just amazing technology. And it became very clear very quickly that these machines were having a tremendous impact on the battlefield. And by the way, probably an even more disruptive effect in the civilian world, and that we can talk about that if you care to.
Mm-hmm.
But what became clear to me very quickly was not just that they're having an impact on the battlefield, but really drones are changing not just warfare, they're changing us. And to me, that's where the meat of the story is.
You know, let me ask you this, Mike. Are we, the American public, after you've written a book like this and did the research and the study, are we, the American public, pretty doggone naive about what's out there?
Yes, what I found on the non-classified side was utterly surprising to me. I'll tell you the truth. If you want to skip all the hard research on drones, just watch any 6 random episodes of the old Star Trek series or any other sci-fi show, or read any Isaac Asimov book. Whatever you and I grew up thinking was science fiction really is becoming science fact. And these technologies are simultaneously exciting, and all the promise of those sort of sci-fi utopias we maybe thought about years ago, but also just as frightening as any of the sci-fi dystopias that we imagined. And drones encompass all of that. Those technologies are coming on fast and furious.
Mike, would you say, after you've written this book and did your study and research, that we as a nation, we've lost our personal security and our own identity because everything we do is now known by somebody else?
You know, that's a terribly, terribly important question. It really is one of the core issues I'm wrestling with in this novel. On the face of it, the idea that our government is trying to get all the information it possibly can to find all the bad guys over there and over here so it can prevent another catastrophic terrorist event. On the face of it, that sounds pretty reasonable. But having said that, the question is, do we trust the government that is assembling that data? Well, put another way, the whole point of national security is to protect you and I from harm, to protect our persons and our property. In other words, the purpose of security in a democracy is to protect the rights and the property and the person of individuals. But if the government violates my rights in order to protect my rights, then the question is the game worth the candle? And I hate to be this forward, pardon me, but this is where I am standing right now. We live in a world now where the word citizen in some circles is considered hate speech. Mm-hmm. We live in a world now where if I use the word Constitution or Founding Fathers too often in email, I might wind up on a watch list. And that's why I think people are concerned. In other words, it's really not the technology. It's the people operating the technology.
Absolutely.
That's the challenge.
We have a caller with a question for you, Mike. Stand by. Caller, quickly, please.
Not too long ago, there was a guest on a show, and a radio show, and he talked about being able to take a drone, and it would, if I'm not mistaken, a 200 square mile area, it would be able to sense whether or not there was either, guns or gunpowder in a house, and they would be able to sense this, and then, of course, then they would find out where it was, and then they would come and take our guns or our gunpowder, and I'll hang up. Thanks.
Mike, what about that? Do you feel after your research and study that these drones now are capable of basically invading every source of our personal security and our privacy?
On that particular question, I'm not qualified to answer. The question is, is there any kind of sensor, whether it's drone-based or not, that can detect gunpowder, say, from 200 miles away? I really don't know the answer. If there is that technology, they could certainly put it on a drone and certainly use that information. I will say this. The technology that I do know exists right now is, for example, a system called Argus, crazy acronym, autonomous, real-time, ground, ubiquitous surveillance information system. Literally, cameras can put on a drone. It can put surveillance on an entire city, the entire population, 24/7, record it, and monitor all movement.
Oh, my.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's a fascinating question. If you completely trust the people that are watching you, then you're fine with it. But if you're concerned about things like gun rights, and you think you live in a state or a nation that doesn't respect gun rights, then it's something to be concerned about.
Mike, when you
I mean, really, honestly, to me, what this research has pointed me to, and what I'm wrestling with in the book, the existential crisis we face right now in our country really doesn't come from drones. It really comes from the fact that many of us, and by the way, this relates to my main character, Troy Pierce. He's the one I introduced in this book, the first in the series. But really, Troy's a metaphor for all of us. Troy's a man who absolutely loves his country, but he no longer trusts his government. And that's why, unfortunately, where a lot of American citizens are now. And drones don't make us feel more secure or more trusting, unfortunately.
You know, you really bring up an excellent point, and I was going to ask you about that just a moment ago, but when people read this book and they start at page 1 and then eventually close the cover and sit back and think about what you have written in this book, what is the message that you want them to take from the book called Drone?
That's just a wonderful question. First of all, for anyone who would buy the book to read it, thank you so very much. I am deeply appreciative as a new author. The question I would love everyone to wrestle with is, what does it mean to be an American citizen? What does it mean to love your country and not be sure about the political leadership? And I'll give you an example. It's very cool right now and very cutting edge as a writer to be morally ambiguous. You know, everything's gray. I'm not that kind of a writer. I believe in moral absolutes. I believe there are bad actors out there that mean us harm, both overseas and here at home. But I do believe in moral complexity. That the issues on the face of it in the news are often more complex, and the actors behind them are a little more problematic than at first appear to be the case. And so what I'm hoping is that someone reads Drone and we'll wrestle through the issues of, you know, what do I believe in, the values that are most important to me, what am I willing to stand up for and fight for, and what are the things that I should be concerned about. And drone technology is certainly only up of that equation.
You seem to have alluded earlier in about 2 minutes ago, you said something about introducing a character that might be applicable to any and all of us in our personalities by the name of Troy Pierce. I take from that statement that perhaps you might be entertaining a thought of a series of these books?
Yes, sir. Very much so. Drone is the first in a military techno-thriller series, sort of like, you know, the way the great Tom Clancy would have written, or Brad Thor or Vince Flynn. And it's first in a series like that. It's introducing the series protagonist, a man named Troy Pierce. He's a former CIA Special Forces operative who fought bravely and brilliantly in Afghanistan and Iraq, but after losing some friends that he cared about for the wrong reasons, he became dissatisfied, separated from government service, formed his own private security company, like a Blackwater. Now he can pick battles of his own choosing that have a certain moral clarity. And in addition, he deploys drone technology so he can protect the lives of the people he cares about. But again, for him, the overall context for the whole series is he's a warrior. And the purpose of a warrior is to defend his community. But when a warrior loves his country but no longer trusts leadership, what is a warrior to do? And that's his dilemma he's wrestling with through the series.
Absolutely. Mike, I'm going to tell you, if this is your first attempt at a novel, you hit a home run right not only out of the park but out onto the street like at Wrigley Field. This is an excellent book, and I suggest it highly to everybody. Now, where can people find copies of the book called Drone?
Certainly, anywhere you buy a hardcover copy, so Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, certainly online at places like Amazon. If you love ebooks, Kobo, Sony, iBooks, Nook, Amazon Kindle, and certainly your local independent bookstore may very well have them. If anything, you go to my website, Mike Madden, or MikeMaden.com, M-A-D-E-N, just one D, and all the links are there, and you can find the book. But it's pretty much everywhere you can get a book, which is great.
I tell you what, I wish you all the success in the world. I'm going to finish this book, and when I do, I'm going to call you back and have you back on the program, maybe in a couple of weeks or so, and we'll visit more about it. But continued success, and a very happy Thanksgiving to you, and thanks for taking the time to come on our program this morning.
A pleasure and an honor, sir, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Mike Maiden with a book called Drone. And I got to tell you, I have, through this program, the occasion to have many books sent to me and asked them, or they're asking me to read these books and then possibly have them on our program and discuss the literature and also a little bit about the author. Another excellent book. We bragged yesterday about the book called Essential Liberty, and this one, Drone, is another book that I highly recommend as a great gift for people that are really wanting to know what's going on in the world of espionage and how people in the government are watching us. I recommend it. Mike Maiden, the author, and the book is called Drone. Excellent book. Time now for a weather update, and here is Michael Rogers Weather.
Hey, I'm Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Good news today. Now, you know, if I say good news, you're going to want to think that maybe, well, if there's good news or bad news. No, there's not really any bad news. So basically, the weather for today is good news. It's going to be warmer today than what it was yesterday. 52 for the high, 23 for the overnight low. It's in the 50s all the way through the weekend as we start getting closer to Thanksgiving Day. Hey, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. MichaelRogersWeather.com right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Gina, are you over there? There she should be turning her microphone on momentarily. Do you like to read?
Do you want my honest opinion? No, I hate to read, and here's why, because I've had to do it for a living.
I love to read.
Can't stand it.
Oh, I do. I sit there.
I like audiobooks. If it's an audiobook, you bet.
Really?
No, because once you go through higher education and you're forced to read for 8 straight years, and it takes all the fun of reading.
Well, no, I'm just the opposite. You know, I have gone through the quote-unquote higher education, college and everything, but a good book is something that I just relish. And I would rather go to bed early and just lay there and read a good book than I would watch, I hate to say this because I'm a football nut, but even a good football game. I just really enjoy a good book.
See, my daughter is exactly like that. She absolutely loves to read. That is her passion. Me, You
know, I had the author Rob Olive on yesterday about that book about Essential Liberty. Mm-hmm. And I had so many people question as to where they could go get it because it stimulated a lot of interest as to what's happening with our government to take our rights away. Yeah. Well, the same thing, Gina, is in this book called Drone, and it's so well written, and from the very first page, he hooks you with all the action and how absolutely sinister all the drones are and what they can do around the world and everything, and the sinister aspects of
my brother would love the book.
Oh, it's exciting.
Love the book.
It's an exciting book, but the problem is it might be fiction, but you know something, like Mike said, he bases most of the book on fact of knowing that these drones are out there and they're recording every single thing about what you and I and everybody else is doing, and that's kind of spooky.
It is kind of very scary because it's fiction turning into reality.
Yeah, and so I highly recommend that book, but boy, of all the books I've been sent, I've been really blessed with some really good authors. And have you ever heard of the author Clive Kusler?
I've heard of, I think. Yes.
He's got a lot of the thriller books. Mm-hmm. His quote was put right on the front of Mike Maiden's book. He said, quote, "A brilliant read, Mike Maiden's Trail of Intrigue, will captivate you from page one." And it did. It's an excellent story.
It got you hooked. Huh?
It did. But you know what? I've often wondered, and I think I have seen some around this area. You know, the drones that people say now that up in the Caldwell area, they're using them for police investigations and that type of thing.
Right.
I think they're more widespread than what we really think they are.
I honestly think that they are more widespread. Look up into the skies, and, you know, we're pretty used to airplane traffic, but there's just something odd about some of them up there.
And they can do almost anything now. They're programmed to basically be a spy on everything we do, everything we say, and take pictures of everything, record everything, and quite frankly, they're used for some of the most sinister weapons around the globe today.
They are. Very scary.
Yeah.
Very scary what our government is capable of.
Yeah, we have a call coming in.
Yeah, you hear that, huh?
I do. I've got excellent hearing when it comes to the jingle of the phone.
Here they go.
Or money. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, I've seen two of them here.
Have you really?
Oh yeah.
How big and what did they look like?
Well, they kind of look like a glider.
Okay.
The ones that I've seen.
Uh-huh.
And you don't hear them or nothing. What brought my attention to it was reflection off of it from the sun.
Really?
I seen a reflection, and I looked up, and there it was, two different times flying, just cruising through the air.
Well, now, how high up was it?
Not all that high. I don't know how to tell you.
Well, I mean, was it just like 150, 200 feet above your head, lower? I mean, what concerned you about that drone? Did you have any consternation about it at all?
Well, yeah, because there's probably cameras in it, and I don't know what they're looking for.
Yeah. I'm glad you called on this because I'm one of these kind of guys, and I'm going to say this, and some people will be rightfully so, I guess, offended. But in the case of spying and looking in my backyard or looking into the window of my life when they haven't been asked or it's against the Constitution, I'm not above saying get the shotgun and shoot the son of a guns down.
Yeah, it was too far away for that, but, maybe a rifle would have worked.
Well, I know that sounds to some as a redneck theory, but, really, we're being watched and listened to 24/7, and I'm fed up with it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But, yeah, it wasn't real high, but, it was probably in that area, like you said. But it just bugs the heck out of me.
If you ever get a chance and see another one, would you take a picture of it and give me a call? I'd pay for the picture.
Okay.
All right, sir. God bless you for your call, and happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. That's kind of eerie. He said he's seen two of them. I haven't noticed any over at Murtaugh. Let's see what this next caller's got to say. Good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb? Is that me?
Yes, it is, sir.
Thank you. I didn't catch where the other fellow was from and where he saw that drone. But this happened to me. I live in Burley.
Uh-huh.
And it was... I cannot tell you whether it was March or April. My wife and I had been out to a social function, and I had heard about these lasers that they have that when they mount them on a vehicle, they can drive down the street and scan your house without stopping and pick up the residue of lead and gunpowder so they know how much you got.
Oh, my goodness. I'll tell you...
I was worried about that, and, of course, we were coming back from this function. And I got out of the car. It was night, about, between 9:30 and 10 o'clock. I don't know what possessed me, but there was a broken overcast, and most of the overcast was over Burley. And I looked up, didn't hear a thing. I just happened to look up thinking, well, where's the moon? And there it was. That thing went scudding across on about a southwest to northeast direction. And my wife was getting out of the car, and I said, honey, get out quick and look. And by then, it went behind another tree. And it was the lights, and I could tell that thing was not making any sound. And because of how fast it went behind that tree and beyond, I'd say that thing was like 300, maybe not more than 600 feet above the city.
Oh, my. Well, listen, I've got to give away some turkeys, but I want you to call me back later on, maybe tomorrow or some other day, and talk more about this, because I want to do more research on this. God bless you, and have a happy Thanksgiving, okay?
Same to you.
Thank
Jeff.
you, sir. Thank you very much.
We'll keep talking.
All right, thank you. Right after I do this quick commercial, we're going to give away 3 more turkeys for Thanksgiving, so stand by. I want to say thank you to all of our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, along with John on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. All your winter traction tires for safe wintertime driving, all your tire change, your best in batteries, brake service extraordinaire, snow wheels, they've got it all for you at all 7 locations. Stop in and see the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our major sponsor on Zeb at the Ranch. Okay, here's the deal. We're going to give away 3 more turkeys, and you have to go into Smith's Food King if you're the winner, show your identification, and you will win a turkey. Compliments of Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you, one and all, for your sending in all of your names and your paragraphs. We really appreciate it, and we have just now drawn 3 more winners. Winner number 1 for a turkey is a lovely lady, God bless her, Lorna Arbogast. You are one of the winners of our turkey drawing. Another gentleman that listens to our program faithfully every day, Leon Clegg. God bless you and have a happy Thanksgiving. And our 3rd winner for turkey number 3, Steve Thompson. My goodness, Mr. Flag. He knows all about flag etiquette and the American flag. Steve Thompson. So congratulations, Steve Thompson, Leon Clegg, Lorna Arbogast. You are winners of the Zeb Bell Thanksgiving Turkey. Compliments again of Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and thank you for all the great paragraphs of what Thanksgiving means to you. Congratulations. Go on into Smith's Food King, and the turkey is waiting for you. Tomorrow on the program, excuse me, my voice is a little raspy today. We're going to have Pacific Steel, and they're going to be on the program, aren't they, Deanne, for a little bit? And then we're going to have Scows in the driver's seat. We're going to have Gail Trotter talking about Obamacare. And then we're going to have Pastor Alex Lissau on the program, the last half hour, talking about Thanksgiving and all we have to be thankful for. One of the people that I really am thankful for is the lovely Gina Jameson over at our main studios, running the board and quarterbacking the team. The other person right here in the house and the studio helping me, my lovely wife Deanne, could not do the show without them, nor would I want to. God's blessings to both of them, and thank you for everything you do. So, congratulations to the turkey winners, and it was a lot of fun providing those turkeys for your Thanksgiving eating delight, and we're going to have some more for Christmas. We're going to try to do more things to help more people. So until tomorrow morning at 8:06, we'll saddle the horse and ride for 3 hours right here on KBAR 1230 and streaming live on the net, on the internet, zebbell.com. God bless you. Have a great day. See you tomorrow morning.